Welcome to the Executive Woman Podcast, Women Changing the Game. I'm your host, Dr. Sheila Robinson, and our mission is to empower women in business, leadership, and life. Each week, we bring you conversations with trailblazing executives and influential leaders who are breaking barriers and reshaping the business landscape. And through these discussions, we aim to provide you with the tools, strategies, and motivation to advance your career and make a lasting impact in both your life and your career. Whether you are an aspiring leader, a seasoned executive, or somewhere in between, this podcast is dedicated to supporting your professional journey and fostering a community of empowered women who lift each other up. Which brings me to our special guest. Today, we're thrilled to have Dr. Nancy O'Reilly. She's the founder of Women Connect for Good, and that is part of her. She always talks about lifting others up. Our session today will be on building support networks for success, but I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Nancy because she's a dear friend and she's just so awesome. So I can't bring her to the virtual line until I tell you just a little bit about her. She's an international philanthropist. She's a skilled horsewoman. Let me say that again. A skilled horsewoman and a trailblazer for women's empowerment. Dr. Nancy believes that women who support each other in abundance and joy are the key to equality, and I totally agree with her. She's a successful author, an educator, and she recently completed a new book, In This Together: How Successful Women Support Each Other in Business and Life. I cannot wait to introduce Dr. Nancy to come up and say hello, Dr. Nancy, and talk a little bit about Women Connect for Good, your foundation, and anything you want to share with our listeners about the work that you're doing right now.
Hello.
Yay!
As they say, go for the gold. Go for the gold. That's what the U.S. has been doing. This is the gold standard right here. And Dr. Sheila Robinson has a chapter in this book, and this is called Mission Matters. And there's 12 featured authors, but these are the women that we're building a community with. Some of the women. Again, the most important thing we can do as women, that's Women Connect for Good, is support one another. Long ago, I did not feel that support. Long ago, I wondered if anybody thought the way I did. But since that time, I continue to find amazing women in leadership roles in different cohorts. And Dr. Sheila Robinson is one of those women. I met her at her conference. It's been I don't know, it's probably been close to 7-8 years ago. And she taught me about so many things. And I walked away and I knew I had to get to know her better and better. But Women Connect for Good continues. Our goal is to build that community of like-minded women and men who support one another. And we're about changing the world for good. Don't we need that now more than ever? We need hope. We need people to care for each other. We need random acts of kindness. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Absolutely amazing. Yes, mission matters. This is about volume 1 on power and purpose. And the authors are Kaya Thomas, Gloria Felt. I'm deeply honored to be one of these. Let's talk about a little bit about this mission-based, how leaders are sharing inspiring stories, talking about power and purpose. Let's talk a little bit about what this means to you and how we're going to be launching this in Washington, D.C. pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be launching this at the end of the month in Washington, D.C. We're going to spin it out, but several of the authors will be there, including yourself. But
Yes.
This is the 10th anniversary of Take the Lead, which is a leadership program that teaches women in all the different cohorts how to be leaders. For example, the media and entertainment, that's one. Business women, that's another. But there's so many different cohorts. And what happens, this is what happens, what we're doing right now, but what happens when you bring women together who are like-minded, have similar interests, similar concerns, how to change the world for better, create a network, an amazing network of women who create opportunities for everyone. I don't know about you, Sheila, but there's things that I'm really good at and there's things that I'm not really good at. So why not build a community of women, like-minded women, who get to do the things they really do like, and create a network for women who'd like to do the other things that you don't really like. And so it really is such a powerful example of leadership. And it's the power to. Many of us come into this world not realizing the power that we do have. So what we're trying to create is a network of women who truly understand the power to their amazing talents and abilities. And that, I think you've said that. You've said this over and over again. Every woman is a leader. And I agree with that. But we sometimes just need the encouragement and the support and the pat on the back and say, great job, you can do this, to really do the things in life that are just absolutely amazing. So, and we're doing that with Women Connect for Good. We're joining with Executive Women and Dr. Sheila Robinson, Take the Lead with Gloria Felt. I'm on the ERA Coalition Board with Zakia Thomas, but we continue to build this group of organizations that truly can impact and make a difference in the world. And we're doing that one organization and one woman at a time. And yes, we're lifting as we rise.
Yeah. I love how you say like-minded women, because we can't sit home or sit in our cubicles at work or sit in our offices as entrepreneurs and do this work. We have to do this together, which brings me to your book, In This Together, How Successful Women Support Each Other in Business and Life. I am a perfect case study. Dr. Nancy, as she said, she attended my conference and, then she saw the work that I was doing. And not only did she invest in me to become a financial partner, she has introduced me to so many other women and platforms that has developed me as a leader and an entrepreneur, and that is helping me grow and develop, and in turn helping me help other women develop and grow. And that's how it happens. But I would love for you to share any other examples, Dr. Nancy, of what you see by In This Together and how successful women have supported each other.
Well, the first question, the first most important thing is women need to learn to ask for what they want. We have to learn that take the Superwoman t-shirt off. We don't need it. Take it off. Ask for what we need. And it's amazing.
Mhm.
Isn't it an honor when somebody asks you for help? To me, when somebody asks me if they need something from me or they want something from me, it's an honor. So asking for what you want, and you'll turn it around. It'll come back to you threefold. For me, it has always come back that way. But the leaders that we're looking at, and we're looking at one in particular right now, it's being authentic, being
Mhm.
your real self. I think people really can see through it, but women, we're great problem solvers. We're leaders in our families, we're leading our communities, and we can be leaders in the greater good in the world. So we have to remember that. But again, when you join forces with other women that believe that, and you start to teach your children, especially young girls, about that, the possibilities are just endless. And I think
They're
that's
endless.
that's what I'm excited about. Is right now I think we're in a great position and a great time to really build on women's leadership in the United States of America. The gold winners.
Outstanding. And I loved how you say that, be your true authentic self, and how women have empathy too, because we care. That doesn't mean that you can walk over us and take advantage of us. Empathy just knows that we understand how we're being approached and how to respond. And so share a little bit about, that empathy and that courage that women needs to have to be able to understand when this is the right network. Because a lot of people's like, I don't know how to network. How do I network personally and professionally? We know that it can contribute to our growth, but how do you network with someone that you may have absolutely nothing in common with, and how do you show your authentic self and show that you are approachable, and and have empathy? What would you say to that, Dr. Nancy?
Well, one of the things that when I do my podcast, and we've done podcasts together, is I say, tell me your story. Tell me about you and how did you get to be the person that I'm talking to today? And I can guarantee you when that woman, because we've all both, you and I both have had trials and tribulations. Life has not been
Mhm.
that smooth. You're attractive, you're intelligent, but I know and you know that we both have had to climb mountains and we've had
Yes.
challenges, but then we turned those challenges into opportunities. So I really truly believe when women start to tell their story, and there's so many women that don't share their talents and their abilities. And that's where we really lose out on knowing somebody at a level that could truly be helpful to you and to them and to each other when we share that story. So, and I love it also that I usually find somebody that has a horse story. So I, I connect with several different levels of where I live, my background, my mother, my grandmothers. I mean, we always have a connection after that story is told. And what I always say to the women and my conversations at the end of the conversation, well, you're now a part of the community. You're now you're an important part of us all working together to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and I love that because you're right. Telling that story and not just the good parts about the stories, telling about the challenges and some of the not so good parts truly allows someone to empathize with who you are and your situation and get to know each other. And a story that many people don't know about you is the story about your horses. And I'd like for you to share a little bit with our listeners on the story about you and your horses, which is a beautiful story.
Well, I've said this 1,000 million times and probably say it over and over again. Horses saved my life. I was going through a really difficult time, going through a divorce, going through a very difficult time. A good friend of mine introduced me to my first Arabian. After my divorce, I bought my first horse. And the history now is I bought a lot of horses, but now own my own equestrian center in Southern California. Come visit Southern California Equestrian Center. But I can guarantee you, horses are probably one of the most sensitive, loving, caring animals out there. They know how you feel, they know how you think, and so many people don't understand that. But I can be in the worst mood, go into the barn, give some cookies out and some carrots and some pets, and I'm a different person by the time I leave. So we just need to know there are things in our lives that give us comfort and give us sanity. And my horses have done that. I have babies, I have yearlings, I have 2 year olds, all the way up to 19-year-old horses. So I called Hennessy. He's my grandsire, so he's the big boy. And then I have Martini. She is the grand dam, so she is the top female. So I have a whole herd of horses out there, and every day like I said, I'm living basically at the barn because I want to be close to them because they give me strength, they give me comfort, and they give me such great joy.
That's beautiful, Dr. Nancy. And listeners, we may not have horses, but I think that it is very, very important that we try to find that solace in our life that will give us that comfort and that peace. And Dr. Nancy, you said, I don't care how bad of a day you're having, you can go in the barn and give a cookie and they could just touch your heart and turn it around.
Yeah, every day we have a choice. When we wake up in the morning, and this is what I say, you have a choice how you want to react, how you want to feel, what you want to do. It's all between your ears. And I think that's what so many women, especially, forget. It's your choice. Every day is a choice, it's an opportunity. And you have to look at it that way. If you wake up and go, oh God, this is going to be one of those days, oh, poor me, then it's going to be a poor me day. But if you wake up in the morning and say, this is a day of opportunities. Something's out there that will bring me joy, bring me happiness, or bring someone else joy or somebody else happiness. It's the way you look at the world.
That's beautiful. Now, you talked about how we can network effectively by telling our stories and just being our true, authentic self. What about some challenges and some common challenges that women face when they're trying to build that support network? And what kind of solutions, advice do you have on overcoming these challenges?
Well, well, know who you're talking to. I mean, again, especially in the workplace, we hear this challenge. You probably hear it also. What do I do about the mean woman at work? And you
Yeah,
know what? There are mean women at work that don't understand that when they support each other, anything is possible. I love what Gloria Felt says: the pie, there are enough pieces for us, for all of us. But there are people that don't believe that. So they compete, they don't share, they don't give others opportunities. So I think you can try to work with those people, but sometimes you just have to go around them and find the women or the support in the workplace or in the community or wherever you are that really lift you up and give you help you with the resources and the opportunities. But there's always people out there that you just don't waste your time. I mean, I think
yeah.
and this is this is something women, a lot of women think everybody should like me. No, no, not everybody's going to like you, and especially in a leadership role. If you're going to take on a leadership role, not everybody's going to like you. You have to lead with that authentic self and those opportunities for the greater good and the greater whole. So not everybody's going to like you. So get over that.
Yeah. And I do believe, Dr. Nancy, that there are more women that are for us than are against us. And we have to keep that in mind that, even though there are those negative ones out there, that there are more Dr. Sheilas and Dr. Nancy's that are out there that want to lift you.
I loved one of your participants at one of your conferences here in the last year or so. We were walking out together and she was just smiling from ear to ear. And I thought, what's going on with you? She goes, I have never, ever felt this way, ever, ever about a conference. I'm leaving here with such a great feeling, women supporting me and opportunities. They're everywhere. But she had never had experienced that. And that's what we want. We want more and more women to experience what you and I have experienced. And that's strictly supporting each other and caring and saying, how can we work together? Let's
How
figure
can
out
we
something
work
out.
together?
How can we
That's
work?
awesome.
How can we
Yeah,
do
so
that?
what is your take on technology and the role of social media and podcasts and platforms in supporting and connecting women?
Well, we're using technology right now. So I will say this: Zoom and many of the platforms have given us an opportunity to connect more and more. That was the one thing COVID really did for a lot of us. It
Yes.
also helped us to know what we wanted and what we didn't want. I know my network has gotten very small in the people that I connect with. So I believe technology is extremely important, but we need to connect personally. We need to have both. A virtual conference is great. You've done both, but that personal touch. I know the first time that women that were actually attending a physical conference were almost overjoyed. Some felt almost a little uncomfortable because coming together and being social again was a brand new thing. But I think we have to have both. We have AI and technology. I think is extremely important. It's important how we use it, and but virtual is good, but personal is also extremely good. A note, a
Yeah.
phone call, we can Zoom, we can do other technologies, but we still need that human touch, that human connection.
I have talked to women to say that, companies are, cutting back on travel and they want you to do virtual conferences. But if I have to do a virtual conference, that's the day I'm going to clean my house because no one wants to, after doing it for 2+ years, no one wants to attend a conference or, a long meeting, hours of meetings, all day meetings on Zoom. We want that air. We want that atmosphere and that environment. And so I totally agree with you. So, talking about organization success, let's talk a little bit about inclusive environments in corporations. What is your take on how the role of females, the role of women in helping to create more inclusive environments in the workplace?
Yeah. Well, again, you and I both know when you bring people with different cultural backgrounds, it becomes a very rich environment. The ideas and the creativity that comes from different backgrounds is phenomenal. This was a study about men and women, and it really boiled down to we're more alike than we are different. But those differences can also create such a rich opportunity to learn from each other and to be creative and it create things that are just phenomenal, especially in the workplace. And I think that's what happens when we are inclusive and we make sure we have lots of differences. But again, we're more alike than we are different. And that's what we find out because we care about our families, we care about our communities, we care about the greater world, and we know all those things. But yet, the way we look at things sometimes and those differences help us to see things with a whole new perspective.
Yes, I love that. And I think that where representation is so huge because a story that touched me greatly was during Black History Month. I received a call from a mother that asked me if their daughter could dress up like me for their Black History Month presentation. And look, on one hand, Dr. Nancy, I'm saying I'm history now. Okay, I'm history. But on the on the other hand, I thought this is a 8-year-old that's generations and generations, not one or two generations down, who sees herself able to be on the cover of a magazine, see herself able to be a leader, see herself to be an author of a book. And that's what she did. She put herself on everything that she saw me on and presented that. And that really, really shows the power of inclusion, that we're creating representation for the next generations and beyond. We need to continue to not only support other women, but those little women behind us.
Yeah, but
So, and when we do this, we truly are driving organization success. And
yeah.
Dr. Nancy, like you said, this is just a great time for you and I to connect. I've known Dr. Nancy now probably about a decade. It's
Oh,
close
probably
to
too close. I said 7 or 8 years. It's probably
Yeah,
10 years.
close
It's
to
probably
it.
yeah.
I've been doing this for 19 years. Next year
Well,
is
then,
our 20-year anniversary. And, I want to hear about Women Connect for Good. How long have you been doing this? And besides me, one of the most successful initiatives that you are very proud of.
yeah. Well, 2012 is when the foundation was actually founded. You, of course, are the educational piece, with Take the Lead. Mount St. Mary's University in California has been a wonderful partner. It's going to continue. Their primary population are women that come from challenging backgrounds. So they're phenomenal what they're doing in this world. Zakiya Thomas, I'm now on the board of the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment Coalition. They are connected to over 300 organizations. We've got to get the ERA passed. I mean, it's passed, but published in the Constitution as the 28th Amendment. That is a big goal for Women to Connect for Good. And then, of course, being on the National Women's History Museum Board has been a great joy for me. Talk about storytelling. Because again, this young girl, the more they read about the stories, because you can't be what you can't see, what you can't hear, and what you can't read about. So we have to continue to show boys, girls, and women where we come from, and we do come from such an abundance background, but we don't know about that. So we need those stories and those that storytelling to continue. And the National Women's History Museum, that's exactly what they're doing. They just did that huge exhibition at the Martin Luther King Library in Washington, D.C. on Black feminist. It was a wonderful success. I believe it's going to start showing all across the nation right now. So, but again, we need to know who those women are who were standing on their shoulders and opening doors and opportunities for the rest of us. And young girls, especially, we start as young as we can to let them know what an amazing background and where they come from.
Well, that's outstanding, Dr. Nancy. How can our listeners support, especially with the supporting the passing, getting the ERA amendment published? Is there anything that our listeners can do to support any of these initiatives?
Well, if they just want to go to the website, there's information about voting. What most important thing is voting, getting out there,
Okay.
find out who your representatives are. We have 4 votes that we need to get the timeline changed to being able to pass to publish the ERA in the Constitution. We have a couple people that are working very hard at that. So who knows? Maybe we'll get it done before the November election. But again, be sure and go out and vote. Find out
Okay.
what the platform is for the Equal Rights Amendment and learn more about it. You can go to drnancyoreilly.com or
For good.
womenconnectforgood.com. We have
Yeah.
all the information on the website and talking about how to connect and make sure you vote. We've got to vote. Voting is important.
That's outstanding. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Dr.
No,
Nancy, thank you so much for sharing your insights and experiences. We do want you to have the last word. So think of what you want to share with our listeners before we sign off. I just want to have the opportunity to tell them that I hope you have found this conversation as enlightening as I did. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Your support helps us continue bringing you these valuable discussions. And I do want to remind you to please go to Women Connect for Good, womenconnectforgood.org or drnancy.com. And you can find information on all the wonderful things that we can been talking about today in this episode. So Dr. Nancy, I will let you have the final thoughts for our listeners as we say farewell.
well, vote, of course, but one of the things that we're doing on a regular basis, 52 weeks of lifting other women up. So, lifting as you ride. Please join the campaign to lift others as you rise. If we did that every single day, which we hope people will go in and learn and educate themselves about, like I said, we lift as we rise, and this world will be a much better place. So, voting and lift as you rise. That's where I'm going to end this wonderful conversation. I can't wait to see you in Washington, D.C. the end of the month.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with another inspiring guest. Until then, keep striving for excellence and supporting one another, and don't forget to lift as we rise. Bye bye.